and macro skills and whatnot. So, okay, so yeah, so that's the first 10 minutes. You got the expo up now and you're massing units. I'll tell you what, at 10 minutes, pause it, and we're going to bump it up to 2x speed, because it turns into like a bit of a creep fest. And okay, so at 10 minutes and 5 seconds, we're going to pause it. In 3, 2, 1, pause it. Okay, so pause it at 10 minutes, we're going to bump it up to 2x speed, and I'm just going to keep going, because like I said, I don't have that much time, but I do want to get all 3 of these games in. So, here we go. So, unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. Okay, so in terms of second hero choice, I picked a Panda. Panda is always an awesome choice, especially if you have a really good early game like I did. Panda is an excellent choice. If you don't have as good of an early game, a Naga is a good choice. A Naga will basically just stop pushes, allow you to pick off extra units, but Panda is obviously better in the long run. As soon as I hit tier 2, I went to tier 3 because this is all because I had a really good early game. I went straight tier 3, got a Pit Lord. In all honesty, I really shouldn't have gotten a Pit Lord. The only time you should get Pit Lord is whenever, I mean, Pit Lord's a good hero and all, but usually I only get him against people that are like towering and tanking, or just mass towering, because Pit Lord is basically, he's like the best hero for taking down those mass towers. The reason being is he kills all of the repairing peons. Okay, now here's a fight right here. I probably shouldn't have fought this. I should have waited for more dryads, but I'm just trying to kill as much as I can before I TP out. A-click the bears, dispel the water elementals, silence the priests. Yeah, that should be like your order of operations. You need to do all of those things, and you need to do them really, really fast. So you need to silence the priests immediately. You need to cast haze and fire and rain of fire on the casters and mortars as fast as you can, and then you want to like just A-click the bears and micro the dryads, and mana flare the fairy dragons. So I know that kind of sounds like a lot to do, but as long as you have like decent hotkey skills and you have like a decent sense of micro and whatnot, then it really only takes, I don't know, a second to do like all 5 of those things. It really does. Like, so you want to do all those things as fast as possible. You want to keep those priests silenced as much as possible. I should have flared that dragon again. That would have helped me. Mana flare really helps a lot, and I should have bought a potion on my Panda. If I would have had a mana potion on my Panda, I would have been in really good shape here, but I didn't. He makes a couple gyros to counter the fairy dragons, which is a really good counter, obviously. Now he's playing really well. I'm not playing as well. This is my first game of the day, but I mean, it's no excuse. I still should have played better. As I said, I had a really good early game, and I just didn't. I didn't keep it up. I didn't keep up. I should have just kept up the pressure, and I didn't micro as good. I should have put my my Panda and my Pit Lord on those mortars. I should have ran the dryads back behind the mortars so that they weren't killing my dryads as fast as they actually were. But as you'll see, that like Rain of Fire, Breath of Fire took all those units to red, no problem. But then he TPs out and he pretty much saves everything, which is not good for me. And if you take a look at the food count, it's 77 to 67 right now, which isn't really good for me. I'm still in the game. I have level 3 Panda, level 3 Pit Lord, which can pretty much kill everything he has if I have enough mana. Unfortunately, if you take a look at me, he killed my shop while he was doing that little push. So I'm rebuilding my shop basically just so I can get clarity potions, because I need that Panda and Pit Lord to have mana. Because as I was saying, that level 3 Rain of Fire, level 3 Breath of Fire, or level 2 rather, will kill pretty much everything that human has, which is great. Now, this is my biggest mistake, I think. I TP'd without having any mana. In all honesty, I should have just let that Expo die. I didn't need it. I should have just let the Expo die and then Expo'd the right one and vetoed those wisps. Now what I'm doing here is another good strat. You basically just mass bears and forget about the dryads. When people make as many mortars as they do, if they have a ton of mortars, just forget about making dryads and just go mass bears. And what they're going to do is they're going to mass casters to counter it. And what you're going to do is you're going to bring like 5 or 6 wisps into every single fight. Okay, so 5 or 6 wisps, that sounds like a lot, but that's only like 300 gold. And especially if you have an Expo, 300 gold is nothing. That's like the cost of a heal scroll. So he bought back his MK and I killed it again. That's pretty funny. But But what you're going to do is, as those bears get slowed, you're just going to deto your own bears and just keep detoing the slow. And the bears do a ton of damage. Unfortunately, as I said, I did lose that fight. I lost it because my heroes didn't have any mana. If my heroes had mana, I would have killed all the casters, no problem, and I would have won that fight. But here comes the last push. I think he ends up winning, and his army is just, I mean, he just has a really, really solid army right now. This is the best army to counter my army. It's by far the best army to counter my army. However, my heroes should have been able to carry. Like, my army counters his and his army counters mine. Now, when that happens, it usually comes down to the heroes. And as I was saying, I didn't have mana that last fight, and that's why I lost, because my heroes without mana are big fat Tauren. That's all they are. So so I lost the game. I already realized I lost the game. And at this point, I'm basically just trying to buy. I'm not buying time, but I'm just kind of dilly-dallying and just trying to decide what map I want to go next. In terms of the way league matches work is there's a map pool, and usually both players get to pick a veto. So he vetoed Nullwood, which is a very common veto for human players, because it's obviously it's hard to expo. It's really large. It's hard for human to. Basically, human doesn't have that many options on Nullwood. So Nullwood is a very common veto for human players. Now I decided to go Twisted Meadows second game. The reason I do that is basically when you're deciding on your map choice, you want to pick a map that if he does the strategy that he's doing really well in game 1, you want to pick a map that's where it's hard for him to do that strategy in game 2. So I picked Twisted Meadows because it makes for a hard expo, or at least it's the hardest expo of the map pool. So game 2 is going to be Twisted Meadows. I have to get that queued up. Yeah, so the reason I picked that is because Twisted Meadows is a harder expo map, and I know he loves expos. So that's why I picked Twisted Meadows. Okay, now Twisted Meadows against human. This is a totally different game. We're gonna go. Let's go to 130. Let's pause it at 130. Okay. So Twisted Meadows, pause it at 130. As you're doing this, I'll talk about it a little bit. I get bottom right spawn, he gets bottom left spawn. Now on Twisted Meadows, I always like to do an early scout. Whenever I mean early scout, I mean I unload 2 wisps from the mine. One of them builds the altar, the other one scouts. The reason you do that is because in higher level play, almost every human is gonna do the laboratory creep. And by doing that early scout and finding his position, basically by doing the early scout, you guarantee that you're going to find his position by the time your hero comes out and have a wisp there, which is 2 super important things. Now, as soon as I see that he's not in that top left position or in the top right position, I start to send a second wisp over to his base. Okay, you guys should have it queued up now. 130, 1x speed, Twisted Meadows, Lado against Alex. Here we go. Okay, unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. Okay, now as I was saying, as soon as I see that he's not in the top left or the top right, I send a second wisp from my base. The reason being is I know he's going to do that laboratory. Every human does it, at least in high level play they do. Even in low level play where they don't do it, you should still have a wisp there to detail the water elemental to make his units take more damage, and it makes him not be able to cast that second water elemental as fast. So that's why you do it. So you see I have both wisps. I have one scouting the that exit position to the right, and the other one scouting the exit position to the top. So so either way, whichever way he goes, I'm going to do it. Now, he obviously knows how to do, or actually, I'm sorry. I thought he was going to do the laboratory creep because most of them do, but he doesn't. He kind of throws me a curveball. But luckily I have my wisps there to see what he's doing. Now what he's doing here is also good. Is kind of a little bit more of a safer creep. Now, as I was saying, against people that are doing that laboratory, what you want to do is as soon as they cast that first water, as soon as they cast the first water elemental, you want to deto both the wisps on the water elemental and the archmage. If you can get both of them in both detos, it's totally worth it for 120 gold. Because what that'll do is he can't cast another water elemental. All his militia will take a ton of damage. You'll be able to kill a bunch of the militia with your demon hunter. Now, the creep pattern that he's doing now is, as I was saying, it's a little bit of a safer creep pattern. Wow, I'm not sure why his footman just walked by the creeps in the shop and he didn't